I call Derek Ball.
If we were to listen just to the Minister and to the government benches about what was going on in social services and housing in New Zealand, sir, then the public of New Zealand will be led to believe that everything was hunky-dory and tickety-boo. But as we all know, that is not the case, sir, and I just want to concentrate on one topic, and that's housing in New Zealand and the state houses and the state that they're in at the moment. And at the moment, sir, we are actually entering crisis point, and we're going to epidemic levels in regards to the peak contamination of state houses. And the main fact is that this government has done nothing since they've been in government since 2008, and they are still continuing to do nothing about the peak contamination in state houses. In 2013-14 financial year, there were 28 state houses found to be contaminated with P. 2014-15, that jumped up to 230 houses to be found to be contaminated with P. And in just the first 6 months of this financial year alone, that number is 280. That is just the first 6 months of this financial year alone. That is epidemic levels, sir. That is crisis point, but this government is not even acknowledging that there is a problem with P contamination in the Housing New Zealand state houses. Now, not only that, sir, if you add to the fact that a quarter of all new houses that were state houses that were built in Christchurch have already been contaminated. 2014, of the 196 houses that were tested, 101 were tested positive. And like I said before, sir, already 280 in the first 6 months of this financial year have been tested positive. Now, if you compare that to the hundreds of people in the waiting lists because of these state houses being empty because of the contamination, then you can see where we are and why we are where we are with the issues with the waiting lists adding to that fact. But how does that translate into the costs for the taxpayer? Well, luckily enough, I've got a poster here, sir, and in 2013-14 it cost $700,000 to the taxpayer. 2014-15, just over $2 million. And just for the first 6 months alone, it cost, of this financial year, it cost almost $6 million. That is what you call an exponential curve. That's what you call an exponential curve. And there's two questions that fall out of this poster, sir. Firstly, what's going to happen next year with the 16-17 if this government continues to do nothing? And that is that it will continue to exponentially increase. The second question is, why is there only data to 2013 and 2014? That's because this government didn't even bother to collate the information prior to 2013-2014, even though they knew that the evidence was there, that this was going to be a problem, that it was a problem since 2008-2009, and yet they chose to still do nothing about it. 2008 to 2012, so prior to even Housing New Zealand even collating the data about P contaminated state houses, there were no less than 16 major stories and articles about P contaminated state houses, from P labs to scientists telling of P house shock, P lab findings, taxpayers carry can for P lab state house tenants, and P homes clean up costly. That was in 2012. And if we talk about actually, sir, even official documents that the ministers were given, there were no less than 5 official documents that the ministers were given between 2008 and 2015. The official reports stating that the concerns with the P contaminated state houses. So the government has known, sir. But what has been done? What has been done? Nothing. It's zero. The only thing that the government brought in 2011 was a stand-down period of up to 12 months for a state house tenant that was caught using or manufacturing P in a state house. And Bill English has already said in this House that that is not a firm enough measure, that they're looking at things that are firmer. But nothing has been done, sir. So just out of some written questions, in fact, what I'll go to, sir, I've only got a short time left, is look at the responsibilities that the Housing New Zealand has actually as the country's largest landlord. And the government's own tenancy services state that if landlords rent out property that is contaminated by P, they are breaching their obligations under the Residential Tenancies Act 1986, as well as other legislation such as Building Act and Health Act. This government has let this crisis occur, They've known that it's going to occur since 2008. The only thing they're planning on doing is selling these houses off, sir.
The Honourable Anne Tolley.